Hi there guys, Voan here today. I am sorry that I haven't made a video for quite some time now, but I was out of town. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, getting Memorial Day's handle. Still had to go out and celebrate Father's and Mother's Day with the family and all that stuff. So yeah, I haven't had much time to come back and make videos. But now I'm back home again and I'm finally ready to come back and give you guys some awesome videos. So yeah, and on my way out of town, I was busy playing this thing. Finally get through finishing Tales of Hearts R. I have to say it was an interesting RPG. As you can tell, I already completed it. So here's the nice little credit that you're gonna see once you beat the game. So if you look at that, that's Tales of Hearts. That's all the credits that you'll see of what the credit will look like. If you want to skip that, we can skip that. Once I beat the game, as you can tell, yeah, here's all the nice stuff. I already saw that, but this is pretty much what all the ending looks like. And as you can tell, once you completed the game, they will give you all these nice little rewards from New Game Plus. Kind of like every single Tales game that you ever play. So, clear data, exit, congratulations, clearing the game. You can now advance to New Game Plus. You can select clear data under the continue server and start your next journey in New Game Plus. Yes, if we do that, yeah, we can start a new game right now. Do you want to save the data? And if you press yes, you can start a new game with some rewards, I guess. So if we restart it again, we can go to that new file that we just created. And do you want to load this data? If you press yes, yeah, you can spend your current gal to start a new game with these bonus. So yeah, if you beat the game, here's all the bonus you want. Keep items, keep shadow grub, keep gal. Yeah, we don't really have that many grades though. And if you look at it, there's a whole bunch of rewards. That's really cool. Unlock all the skits, keep collector's codex, spirit gauge, feel quicker, 5 times the experience, man. That is awesome. However, I already beat the game. If I ever want a second playthrough, I might try that, but for now, I have to say this game is awesome. So I'm not gonna continue this because I already beat it. But whenever I have some free time in the future, maybe I might come back to try again. But for now, Tales of Heart R is completed. So I say, really cool game. Someday I might do a review for this game too. Not to mention, while I was on my way out, when I came back, I actually pre-ordered a game and it finally came. So this is Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE. In other words, this is the game that used to be called Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. It finally came out, and I say, it is going to be a very interesting game. Of course, I had to finish Bravely Default and Bravely Second first before I could start this game, but I'm glad that it's finally here. If you guys know, I am an RPG fans of anything, so as long as an RPG is this good, then I'll definitely check it out. Anyways, today is not about those games. Today is about this thing. So yeah, I show you this back in my previous videos that I am going to unbox and review it. So here it is. This is the Retrode from I don't know the company's name, but yeah, I don't really see a company. I think the company is just called Retro, the same thing as the product, I guess. But you can look at that. This is a nice little box. On the back here, it says play or back up your favorite retro games on your computers or smartphone. So that's if you actually have those things. So yeah, your PC or your smartphone. Fortunately, I don't want any of these stuff on my smartphone. I don't like playing these kinds of games on my smartphones, and I don't. The only thing I play on my smartphone is those little teeny bitsy little bite-sized puzzle games. That's pretty much it. And those are just for like whenever I'm on the road and want to kill time. But never really play any of those in depth. But for this thing, this is what it's do. It allows you to back up and play your favorite retro console games on your PC or smartphone or whatever this thing is compatible with. So let's let's check out the unboxing of what's inside this thing. Now, fortunately, before that, I once do have a friend that had this, and we were using this to ROM dump a few files for some of my other videos. I did tell you about this Retrode back when I was doing that Knuckles and Sonic the Hedgehog hack for the Retrode 5. So that little hack patch was created using this thing. Fortunately, not the hack, but the actual file that we use for the hacks. That is the Sonic 1 game that we were using. So that came from this, and this is what it is. Now they used to sell this on Stone Age Gamer, but I did not buy this from Stone Age Gamer, considering that they don't sell this anymore. It all sold out. But they do have this on another website. I think it's called Dragon Box. I don't know how much they sold for, but it's there. Yeah, you can still buy it, but this one I bought it on eBay, not from Dragon Box, from eBay, from the guy who actually did buy it from Stone Age Gamer. And yeah, and that's the reason why this box looks so iffy. It's because of that. This is actually a used product, not really brand new at all. Hopefully it's not broken. So yeah, let's check out what's inside of this. So if we open the box, this is what the product looks like. Looks kind of like your average adapters or a device there. So this is the actual Retrode. So if you look at it, on the front here, you have two Sega Genesis controller slots, but if you look from side to side, it has two Super Nintendo controller slot. Now what does that mean? That means that if you plug this on the PC, you can actually use your original Sega Genesis controller or original Super Nintendo or Super Famicom controller to play all your favorite ROMs on your PC. So you don't have to worry about having to buy a separate adapter to use those controllers. This thing can serve as a separate adapter for that. You can also use these same controllers to play any PC games as well. So if you got any PC exclusive games like, I don't know, Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, maybe the free game that used to came out, that works with these too. Also, all your Steam OS games, some of them will probably be compatible with these, and any of your emulator games will work with these too, not just Super Nintendo Genesis, but if you have like NES emulators, MAME emulators, and TurboGrafx 16 emulators, maybe Commodore and Atari emulator, all those games will work with this little adapter here. But yeah, aside from being a controller adapter though, it can also become a ROM dumping device. So if you look at here, you got a Sega Genesis Mega Drive slot and a Super Nintendo Super Famicom slot. So what you really want to do here is, if you have a game like the 6-pack here, you can plug it like this and plug this into your PC, and you can dump this entire cartridge onto your PC and play it on your Sega Genesis emulator if you have those. On the back side here, you have a Super Nintendo cartridge slot, and what you do with that is, if you take a game like Donkey Kong Country here, now for the Super Nintendo side, you gotta turn it facing the other way. Like I said, they hate each other, so they are competitors. So yeah, now I really wish they would at least let us take this thing out. I don't know if you could take it out or not. I haven't tried, but yeah, this thing really gets in the way sometime. I'm just lucky that they didn't break it or anything. It's a used product after all. But yeah, if you plug these two at the same time, it'll dump them both at the same time too. So that's basically the idea of how you would use a product like this. We'll test this in a while, but for now, that's just the idea of how it'll work. These two buttons here, I don't know what this button will do, but this button here will reset the adapter a little bit so that it could read the files of the cartridge, or yeah, be able to read all the files inside the cartridge so that it could properly dump the ROM. Now, there are times where it will not properly dump the ROM, so you have to give it several tries to make it work, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, other than that, that you could the other function that this thing could also do is not only can you dump the ROM, but you could also make backups of your favorite games too. Backup as in if you wanna, if you have like all the save files on your Chrono Trigger cartridge or your Donkey Kong Country cartridge, right? And you have some really good save files and you want to reserve those files for the next time you want to play, you can actually dump that ROM and copy those save files, and you could just put them on your PC and play it from there, and then save it, and then use that same save file that you just play on your PC and replay on this. Now you may say, well, what's the point of this thing when it's much more easier if you can just go to any of those pirating websites and just download the ROM yourself, right? I mean, you have a bunch of Super Nintendo Genesis ROM already available in the internet, so might as well just go there, download them, and play it on your emulators, right? Well, you could do that, but like I said, it's pretty much an illegal thing, considering that like selling ROMs and giving away ROMs is indeed illegal. You're basically helping piracy, and when you download stuff from the internet, your computer IPS or whatever device's IPS address that you download it from will be recorded within that protocol. So yeah, if the anti-piracy people wants to come and get you or find you or make an example out of you, they could choose to do that. And this Retro here will help you prevent that, because by using this, you're not downloading anything. You're basically just dumping it and playing all the games that you own on your PC the more legitimate way. So that's what this Retro is all about, actually. Other things in this box is this little USB cable here and the manual. Fortunately, nobody reads the manual, but yeah, it tells you all the basic stuff. It's in very, very bad English. Fortunately, the English is a little bit okay. But yeah, you're not gonna be bothered reading any of those. If you know the direction on how to set this up, you don't have to worry. But yeah, what this cable do is that it's a mini USB cable, so you plug the small side onto your Retrode here, so it goes like this. So this side goes to your Retro, and this bigger side goes to either your smartphone or your PC or maybe the Ouya or PS4 or something that has an emulator inside. If it has an emulator, then this thing will be compatible with it, I guess. So I guess you could use it on the Ouya too if you want, considering that Ouya has one of these. If you homebrew your Wii or Wii U, maybe it might work too. I don't know if it works. I don't homebrew stuff. I don't modify things and hack things, but I'm pretty sure that this will work on the PC. We will test that in a moment. But yeah, and also the good thing is that this thing does not run on any power source at all. Once you hook this thing up on the PC, this thing will act as the power charging source thing for this little device. So you're not actually playing anything from this device though. Once it dumps the ROM into your PC, you're basically gonna use that ROM on your PC anyway. So this is basically just a bridge to get your file in there. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it, this little retro here. So let's test out some Genesis and Super Nintendo games for the retro here. So many of the games we're gonna test are these. We got Aladdin, Gym 2, and Mortal Kombat 2, as well as this 6-pack that I just told you about, and Pure Solar. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this will work and with this thing, and what's the problem of this not playing on the PC. There's also some stuff I also want to tell about many of these Super Nintendo games. These will work too. And many stuff about these Super Famicom games and how these will work on the retro as well. And basically this as well. So does the lock-on work on that thing? We'll test all of them. So yeah, let's get on to the testing of this retro here. Okay guys, so here we have my PC. Here's the desktops of my OS here. So here we have the retro already hooked up to my PC. I already put down a Super Nintendo controller for this. The Genesis controllers I haven't plugged it in yet, but you can use that if you want to too. This has been plugged into the PC on the USB drive. One of my program is finished, so I'll just have to minimize that. So yeah, let's plug in the 6-pack for the retro here. If you plug it in, you can see a pop-up. Once you see that pop-up, that means that that game is already been dumped to the retro. So let's see if it pops up. It'll take a while for it to actually pop up, and if it doesn't pop up, you can always use this button here. If you press it once, just press it once, and then it'll read the game again. So there it is. So if you look closely, it says retro up there. So once we click on that, you can tell in here we got the 6-in-1. So that's the ROM dump that we want. So we got the 6-in-1. All we gotta do is take it out of that folder, so it will make a copy of it. So now it actually copies that entire ROM from the retro to the desktop. So there it is. This is the ROM that we just dumped. So if you look at that, it's the Mega Game 6-in-1 again. And now here is our emulator. So I use the K-Fusion emulators, one of the best Genesis emulators out there. So I don't have any ROMs in this computer, but this ROM here is, you can use it to any Genesis emulator you want. So if you plug into K-Fusion, this is what it'll look like. So there it is. As you can see, it works. And if you want to, if only it could, yeah, there it is. If you can use your Super Nintendo controller, or if you want, you can plug in this Genesis controller and use it the way it's supposed to too. But since I haven't configured it yet, you can go to your options and set configurations. So let's set how the configuration will work. So let's go controllers, define. So up, down, or we did it wrong. Let's try again. So up, left. Man, this emulator is set too fast, I guess. So up, left, A. That's weird. A, C, X, Z. For some reason, this emulator's either it's too fast or it just doesn't work properly for some reason. So let's try it again. Up, left. Oh, I see. I have this thing on, so I just had to exit on that. And now let's try it again. So up, down, left, right, A, B, C, start, X, Y, Z mode. So there it is. So now we can play this 6-pack on the emulator using a real Super Nintendo or real controller, that is. This will work on any PC games too if you want. So if you can see, there it is. I can control and play my legitimate cartridge games via this ROM on this emulator. So that's cool right there. So as you can tell, Sonic is moving according to how I press. So that's good. So that is basically how that ROM works. Now, if we take the ROM out, or we take the cartridge out, see, there's nothing in there. Now let's try Donkey Kong Country. So if you use Donkey Kong Country and you turn it like that, you gotta turn it to the back, you can see another pop-up. Hopefully there it pops up. Yep, there it is. And you can open it, and if you look at that, sometimes it came out and says 2600 cartridge blah blah .A26. That means that there's an error, and that is not a ROM dump file. So that means that you just have to either take it out and try again, or all you have to do is just press this button right here again, and it'll redump it again a second time. Usually this happens with Super Nintendo cartridges. Genesis cartridge usually have much better success. So we can try that again, and this time, as you can tell, it says Donkey Kong Country .2E8E. 83 right there. And since we already have an emulator on our computer, it uses the Super NES 9X emulator. So if it has something like that, then you can just click it and it would just load the game directly from that emulators. But if you don't have the emulator, you just have to search for it. So I'll just drag that out of the retro again, and yeah, let's see how this ROM plays on the emulators. Now I used the two different Super Nintendo emulator here. So for Super Nintendo, I have, you can tell there, I have the Z-SNES W and also the Z-SNES 9X. These two, one is better than the other, so I recommend just using both if any of your ROM doesn't work that well. But if you have a ROM files like Donkey Kong Country here, now if it doesn't recognize the emulators, then you can just drag it to any of these two emulators. But if it already recognizes the emulators, all you have to do is just click it and then it'll load. So as you can tell there, Donkey Kong Country loads. And you can still use your Super Nintendo controller or Genesis controller if you want to play this as well. So just look how awesome it is. So yeah, this is a legitimate game now. since it's a game that you have dumped to this system here. Another thing is that if you go back to that retro, if you go to the retro here, right, and you'll see the other thing inside this row. This is the save file, so if you want, you can drag that out too. You can tell that our game does not have a save file, but if you take that out and you go back to Donkey Kong Country here, the ROM, and this time if you click on it, so let's click on that, you'll notice that we now have save files, and those save files are from the Super Nintendo cartridges. If you want, you can make backup copy of that save file. So there it is, 1984 Nintendo. So yeah, we don't have any save games on this thing. So if we plug it into the 9X, let's see. Yeah. The reason why this doesn't work is because I put the SNES 9X file on a different folder. But if we go to the Super Nintendo 9X file here, you have to put it on the same folder where the shortcut is. So we go to the ROMs, and then we put a copy of this save file right here. Right where, yeah, right where it is. So let's paste that. Let's make a copy of it and paste it on the save folder as well. Copy and replace. Alright, so now let's try to load it and see if the files are there. It should be there, I guess. If it's not there, then there might be a problem with the retro, but right now it should be there. Come on, Nintendo. So as you can see, there is all my save file. So I have put the save file that was on the retro and put it on the Super Nintendo 9X emulator folders, the save file folders. And I have all my save files in here. Now the thing is, if you take the cartridge out, now that's the ROM, but if you take the cartridge out, and I'll show you, as you can tell, this is the same cartridge that the ROM was dumped from. So now I have two separate copies of that save file. So if you look at this Donkey Kong Country, look at that save file, 17%, 75%, 27%. If you look at the Donkey Kong one on the emulator here, it's the same thing. See, same thing right here, same thing right here. So whenever if there's any problem that comes with this cartridge, if the battery in here ever dies out, or I need to change this battery for anything and my save file is gone, I can always come back to this one on the emulator, and then all I have to do is copy that same save files on the emulator here on the folders and put it back on the retro and bring it back, copy that back to the cartridge. That way I can preserve save files. So that's a good example of preserving your save file whenever if you want to preserve it. So this is how you preserve your save file on your PC if you ever wanted to back up all of your save. So if you have like any of your cool save stuff that you have on Chrono Triggers or Final Fantasies, or Mana, Phantasy Star, Shining Force, whatever, you can always save them on your PC via the Retro here. And you can play all of your playthrough on the emulators. If someone ever came and took over the TV, or you don't have a TV to play all your legitimate console games, and you have only the cartridge and controllers and all that stuff, and nobody wants to give you the TV to play it on, you can always use the Retro here and play them on the PC via these emulators. I mean, downloading an emulator is free though; they are not illegal, but getting the ROMs are. So I don't recommend getting the ROM unless if you really want to try it, and I mean, hopefully you don't get caught, but yeah, that's one way to preserve save file if you wanted to if you want to preserve all the good save stuff that you have. And that's one way to bring your save file back to the cartridge and from the cartridge to your PC too, using this nice little Retro here. So we tested how the dumping works and how to preserve your save file works. Now, and we also tested how you can use your controller in here too. Now, for about this Retro here, even though you could play almost all of the games in there or dump almost all of the ROM, not every game is gonna be successful though. I have Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimensions here. This game, no matter how many times I try, it never got a successful dump. So we can put it in here, and we'll just have to wait. So this is usually what I got with Hyper Dimensions. It'll do the same thing as every other ROM dump. It'll pop up, and if it doesn't pop up, we'll just have to do that button again. But no matter how many times I try to dump it, it always gives me the same files. So if you look at that right here, it says the same thing. So we have to open that, and if I pull this down, as you can see, it's a 2600 cartridge.A26. So that means that there's an error. We can press the button again like that, and let's see if it's successful this time. So let's try it again. So here is that file again, and look at that, it doesn't recognize 2600 cartridge. Another error again. So Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension, for some reason, cannot be dumped to using this Retro 2 here. I don't know if it's just this Retro or maybe if the first version will work, but no matter how many times I try to dump Hyper Dimension, it never ever got recognized. So I don't know how that is. However, games like Go-Go Ackman here does recognize. So if we plug like Go-Go Ackman to the Retro like that, the game will surely be recognized. It might not get recognized at first, but keep on doing it and it will get recognized. Now I don't know if Hyper Dimension is the only game that doesn't get recognized. If there's any other, I haven't tested every single one of my cartridge, but the only one I have found so far that does not work is Hyper Dimension. Every one that I have tried happens to work okay, accurately too. So let's see how Go-Go Ackman works. So it'll take time for it to actually boot up, pop up. Come on, pop up. There it is. So let's see if Go-Go Ackman has been recognized. And it does. Look at that. So that's, it may came out as a weird name like this, like OG or OGG CCMM whatever, but it is indeed Go-Go Ackman. So if you click on it, it'll look something like that. That means that it's still finding the emulators. So you look at it, that's pretty much. Sometimes it might have a bad ROM. Maybe that's a bad dump, I guess. It does recognize the emulator, but the name is strange. Let's redump it again. So press that button again. If you don't recognize the name, or if the game came out looking weird, the dump coming out looking weird, all you gotta do is just press the button many times. It'll redump it again and again until it gets a good dump. So look at this, and let's see if it's recognized. Nope, we got an error again. So sometimes you might also have to take the game out. So let's take GoGo Actman out again, shake it a little bit, and replug it again. Now you also have to be careful not to break any of the pin in the retro as well, because if it doesn't get recognized, then your retro might be broken. So we don't want a broken adapter there. So let's put it in, press the buttons, and see if it's recognized. Hopefully it's recognized this time. So there it is. There's the retro. And yep, so it got recognized. GoGo Egomin. I don't think that's the name of the title, but hopefully it'll work. Let's take it out of that, and let's see if it'll work. It's the wrong name. Maybe it might not work. It's kind of like hyperdimension a little bit. It doesn't work. So let's press that button again. Hopefully we got a better dump this time. I'll delete the bad ones. So this one, hopefully it'll work. So this time it's actually the correct name. Now it'll take you a long time to get an accurate result like this. I don't know why it doesn't work with Dragon Ball Hyper. I have tried it like 50 other times and it never works. Actman, I was glad that it works. So now that we have the correct name, finally, I don't get why the retro is having problem at the first two times, but now we can actually play it on the emulator. So we can click on that, and now we got GoGo Actman, just like how we would play it on a console. So there it is. You can play Super Famicom game on your emulator too. The untranslation version. So there it is. So you look at that. Yeah, that is beautiful, huh? If you have a good emulator, that's how it looks. Now I put my microphone or my headphones in the PC, so that's why you don't hear any music and noise at all. But yeah, look at the quality, man. So if somebody steals your TV and doesn't want you to play game on it, you can always use the retro and just play all your favorite cartridge ROM games in here. So yeah, so that's pretty much all the retro could do. Now another thing that happens to the retro is that you could also dump homebrew games too, like Pure Solar here. So, but there is a problem with Pure Solar though, like every other emulator things that happen with Pure Solar. So if you try to dump Pure Solar, we can just, oh man, I hope it doesn't break, but it's in there. So we can dump Pure Solar, and let's just wait till the dump is finished. Now Pure Solar never, like Hyperdimension, I don't know if it got recognized or not, but for some reason it doesn't work on emulators. So we got it in there now. Let's see if it'll work. There it is. So, and there's the Pure Solar. Yeah, there's the Pure Solar dump right there. That's a bin file. So bin files are Genesis file. So Or that's usually what Genesis files should be. So if you try to play Pure Solar on your Genesis emulator, it will not work. I have tried many times and it never works. I even tried on the Retrode 5 and it doesn't work. So I just show you how it looks like on an emulator. As you can see, it took a while for it to actually copy to. So if you put it on the K-Fusion emulator, it looks like this. As you can see, nice black screen with pretty much nothing. Maybe it's just a bad dump perhaps. Let's try it again. So let's give it another try. Maybe it might have a different name this time. That's the thing about this Retrode here. Whenever you dump a game, you never know what kind of weird name it'll pop up with. It'll be like a while before you can actually make it a successful dump. So let's see this time how it'll go. You have to press the button a few times to get it to accurately dumping the stuff. So there it is. We got another pop-up. This time we got almost exactly the same name. Even the save files that were in there too. So I guess that's the name it goes by. But like I said, if it doesn't work, and this time let's just drag it to the K-Fusion. If it doesn't work, then too bad for Pure Solar. So Pure Solar might be the only Genesis game we will never get to play on emulator, perhaps. So there it is. It's trying to load. That spinning thing is still on there. Once that stopped, then maybe it might load. Let's see. Let's see how long it'll spin. It's a very large game, so the largest Genesis game. Now it's stopped, but we don't see anything. So no matter what we do, there's nothing to show. So too bad for that. Pure Solar does not work. So like I said, Pure Solar has a reason not to work though. It's a very large game. But I would get why Hyperdimension does not work though. Hyperdimension might have something that prevents it. Now there might be other dumping device that might make Hyperdimension work, but I'm not really sure which one is it. There are Hyperdimension ROMs out there. I just don't want to like illegally download those. Also, if you got lock-ons like this, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckle lock-ons, this will work also. So if you plug in here, plug it to the Retrode, and you wait, you can be proud of yourself that now you can play this combo without problem. So just look at that, man. Look at it. Sonic 3 and Knuckle. It recognized the game and the lock-on. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So lock-on does work. So let's see. We can just drag it into K-Fusion and see what it looks like in K-Fusion. Because if the lock-on does not work, then that means any adapter that plugs on top of this Retrode here might not be supported. So I'm glad that it works. Now, if only if it loads. Okay, there it is. So we can play Sonic 3 and Knuckles with any of controllers of our choosing. So if you look at that, yeah. So there is all of the stuff. Now the save file is not in here because the save file on the Retrode was not at the Genesis folder, the K-Fusion folder. So if it was at the K-Fusion folder, you'll be seeing a lot of my save file in here. But yeah, this does tell you that Retrode does support add-ons. Or maybe, yeah, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I don't know if Super Game Boy will work, but I mean, if it works, then it might be good. But lock-on definitely does work on the Retro. If you have legitimate lock-on games like Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Sonic 2 with Knuckles, then you can try those. Those are good. So yeah, those are pretty much almost all of the legitimate games that we tested. Now, another thing we also wanted to test are these. This is Clock Tower. Now, there are a lot of problem putting Clock Tower on this thing or putting repros on this thing. Sometimes they'll work and sometimes they won't. So let's put that here. So we plug in Clock Tower, the repro. Let's see if it'll get recognized. Because I have tried like Secret of Mana 2 and Final Fantasy 5 and they got problems trying to get recognized. So let's see if Clock Tower is successful. So let's press that button many times. Come on, load, pop, do whatever. There it is. So yeah, so I guess Clock Tower does get recognized, and it has that SFX B2BC thing. Must be a translation ROM. Alright, so let's close the Retro thing and let's play it on the Super Nintendo emulator and see if it'll work. So there it is. It's almost finished. So drag it to K-Fusion and oh, not K-Fusion, drag it to the Super Nintendo. Man, playing K-Fusion for a while, forgot which emulator it was, but there it is. So it works. Hopefully. Come on. There it goes. So Human Entertainments. So I guess the repro does work. And they got a repro patch ROM in there. So yeah, and it's even in English, just like the repro. So if you have a repro that is in English, that ROM inside the repro will also be able to get dumped to here too. So your money buying that repro does not go to waste. So yeah, I guess that's it for the repros, the Retro here. So yeah, repro like Clock Tower will work. Sometimes repro like Final Fantasy 5 may or may not work. I already tested this several times. It'll take a lot of times to get it to work though, so I'm not gonna try it here. But I do tell you, this game has a lot of problem with this Retro here. I tried this yesterday and the day before that. It works too. Contra 3 works. Every one of my Super Nintendo game works, but the Super Famicom, only Hyperdimension, does not work. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this Retro here. So this Retro, I have to say, you can use it. You can use it to play any of your Super Nintendo or Genesis cartridge with emulators. You can even use these controllers to play any games on your PC, and you can use this to back up your from any of your Genesis or Super Nintendo game as well. Also, yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah, to be able to play your controller on the PC, you had to do some kind of configuration. So at first, I didn't get Street Fighter Cross Mega Man to work. So I have to go to this this folder called Joy to Key here. So Joy to Key will allow you to just configure anything on your keyboard to a controller. So that's pretty much what I did with Street Fighter Cross Mega Man there. So minimize this, open Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, and now we can play it with the original Super Nintendo controller. So there's Street Fighter Cross Mega Man right there. Let's press start. And there it is. Look at that. And look at that. works fine too. I'm glad that it works. So let's go to Ryu stage and I'll demonstrate how good it works with this game. So you don't have to just play it with Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis games. So look at that. I like that. So if you want, there he goes. Man, I have to sacrifice a hit to kill that guy. So as you can see, it plays really good. It's just that yeah, it's just that you just have to be good playing this game. Now I haven't beat this game yet, so just man, I don't recognize Ryu stage being this hard. There he goes. Maybe we just had to kill one of these dudes before we can go up there. There he goes. There he goes. We finally learned our mistake. Ah, but I hate the respawning thing in Mega Man here. But this is just a test, so I have to say, works really good if you have any PC games that you love. So and with this game you can also make it big or small as you want to. So yeah, look at that. That's cool. So you can play it big and small as you want. And this game is free too, so you can just download it from the website that Capcom provided. You can use Super Nintendo controller, you can use PlayStation controller, you can even use your own PC controller if you want to, but I really love using Super Nintendo controller because they are more accurate, they don't have any lags, and the control is just good, that's all. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this Retro here. So if I have to give for all the performance it does, it performs very well. It does all the stuff that I wanted to do. Dump round's really good too. It might not have quite a success the first time, but keep on trying and it'll work. As a controller adapter, it works just fine. You can use either a Super Nintendo or a Genesis controller to play anything on your PC, so that's great. Also, you can back up any of your Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, Genesis, or Super Famicom game too if you want, if those games have save file in them. So that's good. You can back it up to the PC and then copy back from the PC back to this too if you want. So yeah, so my final grade for this Retro here, if I had to give it, I'd give it a definite A. It's a good little product. You can get it at Dragon Box if you want. I don't know how much they cost, maybe around the $80-$90. I bought this on eBay for at least $70. It's a good price for me, but if you can find it and you really want to play games on your emulators sometimes, then you can do that without actually have to go into the internet and illegally download them. So yeah, if you want a good ROM dumper, this Retro will do you good. So you have a great day, and I'll see you next time on my other video. So, good luck.